Guys, Alex Slinsky here for the Anti-Hustlers Weekly Show. Thanks so much for joining us. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, Brian Downard. Today, we have a special guest, Mr. Eric Haskin. He's going to be sharing his story of how he was able to get a $300,000 quarter for his marketing agency, all recurring revenue, without having to do all the sales himself, without having to do all the work himself, how he simplified his process and offer to make a much better business. Eric, so good to have you, man. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's exciting.
Dude, it's so good to have you. The journey that you've had over the last couple of years working with us, super grateful for you. Excited to see the growth and the journey that you've had, to see all the work that you've put in to come to fruition in the way it has. Hope you're really proud of yourself. Brian, I want to kick it over to you. I know that you've had a really strong relationship with Eric over these past few months and couple of years, and seeing his journey has been something really special for me. What's it been like for you?
Yeah, I wanted to start with a compliment, honestly. And really, Eric, you're one of the few clients I know that really handles everything, I think, with a lot of poise. And you're very stoic. And I think you handle, situations other people might come to us with their pants on fire or like losing their mind. And I just really admire how you really focus on something and you can not let things rattle you, and you stay very, very calm in almost every single situation. So I really admire that about you. And I think that's been a big part of your ability to grow. So yeah, we have a number of questions we're going to get into today. And I think the easiest one to start with would be tell everyone about what your agency does, who you serve, and just give us the baseline information there.
Yeah. Okay. So a lot of digital marketing agencies specialize in one niche, and it took me a while to do that. But now we specialize in personal injury attorney leads, but I still have a lot of like Frankenstein stuff going on the side. So we offer several different, one, and the biggest thing that we offer that we have really pushed in the last 6 months, 3 months, is the pay-per lead service for personal injury attorneys. But we also do search engine optimization and digital presence, where we help people, rank in search results. We write, my team writes a lot of content, got several different people on the team that manage the content, post it to websites weekly, and do all the backlink and all that stuff that the fun stuff you do for SEO. But we also build websites. And so, that's another service. Those couple services are more streamlined and operationally we have a process for it, but not as good as what I've got going on with the pay-per-lead service with attorneys. So that's what
use one of my favorite. Real quick, I want to, you use one of my favorite words or phrases, Frankenstein agency. And so many people, I think, feel that really when they've gotten to a place where they're at a couple of clients and they're not really specific on where they're going. How are you currently getting out of that and like into the place that makes you the most money with the least amount of effort, and not having to feel anchored maybe to these legacy clients and reduce your work there?
Yeah. So I'm not getting out of it. I have a team member that is in charge of that. So instead of me having to deal with it, I just have that person dealing with all that. And they are the one that is responsible for all those clients, all those reports, all that SEO, and all the team members below them. So I just kind of stepped up a level. I put somebody in place. They have all the people under them, and I just kind of stepped up a level.
Such a valuable opportunity.
All those clients and all that great service and all that great revenue, because it's very profitable.
100%.
We're not, and it's a downsell. Some of those services are a downsell for people that aren't ready for the pay-per-lead service.
It's such a valuable lesson for the people that come into this industry, kind of finding out, like a lot of coaches, programs will recommend the simplified model. It's one of the things Brian and I are big proponents of, because it ultimately allows you to have a faster scalability rate. You can do less, but create more opportunity for yourself. But a lot of people already have established businesses like you did. Obviously, you've been in this industry for a really long time, over a decade. You've been spending a lot of effort, time to create relationships, new business relationships, opportunities with different offers. And so it does create some sort of a Frankenstein angle that when you're trying to develop, a more streamlined business, you're like, well, do I throw away all this revenue I had? Do I throw away all this foundation? How do I do that? Yeah, it's a mishmash, but it's my mishmash. What do I do? Right? It's mine. What do I do about that? It's my baby. And what you're explaining is you don't have to necessarily give it up, right? You have to give it up in some way, but not giving up the money, not giving up the impact, not giving up the opportunity. It's instead you're granting someone else on your team the opportunity to step up, level up, and take care of that mishmash. It can be their business, their Frankenstein. And Eric can now go focus on a higher level activity, something that will create a greater opportunity for him to generate new revenue easier and simpler and fulfill it easier. Eric, what's the experience been like in switching over from something that was so complicated before into something more streamlined? When you spend more time on that, what's that experience been like for you?
Well, so we can, it's easier to fulfill on that specific, request. I mean, if I'm just trying to get, this one thing for these clients, it's so much easier to fulfill on it. And now I can focus on, making sure that the fulfillment is working properly and helping those people, and then also selling that specific service. But not everybody is, even the people that get on the calls with us aren't set up and ready for that service. They just don't have the revenue. They don't have the, what they need in order to make it work. So we have these downsell options. And so that's what we're working on now is getting the sales team, and her mind around that and how to sell those things, so that it's easy for her to downsell if we need to.
Love that. It's awesome to have the downsell options, and the opportunities is also a really valuable method. How are you currently fulfilling? Are you doing the work? Are you delegating it? What's your process?
Oh boy. So when a new client comes on board, we have, forms that they can fill out. So we get them to pay on the call, or we send them a link and they pay right there. Or we follow up with a payment link or something like that. But once that happens, they then get an email or something like that to fill out a form. And once they get the form filled out, it spawns this whole process of systems that are in the back end working to, assign tasks to teammates, and, assign tasks to, systems to integrate and to build, landing pages and all that stuff that happens just by submitting a form. It's truly, and it took us a little while to build that, but, a couple months working with a really good system integrator. But once we got that built, now it's like they fill out the form and it's all done. And then we're ready to launch within like 3 or 4 days.
It's the best.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I got a couple more, in the weeds question, but I really would love to know, did you do anything to celebrate when you hit that first $100,000 month?
Oh yeah. So in January, when we hit the month, like first week of February, I was like, I think I'm going to break 100,000. Now my target, just so you guys know, was $84,000 a month. Because
Eric, I just want to get sure. I was never really good with math, so I just want to double check. Is 100,000 more than 84? I just want to, is that for clarity?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I'm sorry, I want to add this question real quick, Eric. Where was it at the month before? So December 2022.
I was like at 60 something thousand, and I was targeting the 84,000. If you multiply 84 times 12, that's $1 million,
right?
$1
million
business, right? So, but we hit 84 like in the 22nd or 23rd day of January, and I was like, by that time it was like, okay, what are we going to do to celebrate? Start talking to my wife, and I was like, well, spring break is right around the corner, which we just got back from. So we celebrated. We took the whole family to Cancun, Mexico, stayed in an all-inclusive resort.
Let's go.
We had a blast. I mean, it was a lot of fun. Did all kinds of excursions, speed boats and snorkeling and diving and kayaking, paddleboard, all that stuff,
Oh man, you deserve it. I'm so happy for you.
Yeah. Okay, good. That's fun. That's a good answer. I love that. So I want to build on what Alex was asking you earlier. What were some of the first key things you delegated in the business? Like, what were the first things you started with knocking off your list to actually get out of the fulfillment hole?
Yeah. So case flow specifically and getting leads for clients, I've been delegating things. Like I've got a team of either direct employees or contractors. I've got 12 people now. So it's not a small company really anymore. Even though I do a lot, or was doing a lot of the fulfillment for case flow, I had to find a media buyer. So I got a media buyer, and now I've got 2 media buyers. Somebody that can actually run the ads, optimize ads on different platforms. One for Google and one's for Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And so that was key to get me out of that day-to-day operational stuff. And I just have a meeting with those guys once a week and go through all the campaigns and go through and really we don't look at the ones that aren't working, but we work at the ones that aren't performing. Because the ones that are working, we don't really need to mess with those. They're doing a good job on those. I don't need to know about that. Right. So it's just identifying what we need to talk about. So that was really one of the first things, was finding tasks I don't want to do and that aren't really bringing me in a lot of money, but need to be done. And so that's what I did, was, hire somebody for that.
Gotcha.
Fantastic.
Real quick, Alex, follow-up question. This could be a quick one. Where did you find the talent, right? A lot of people don't have a reliable place to source talent. Was it kind of a hodgepodge, one platform specifically? Where did you find
so depending on who you're hiring and who you need to find, it is that's one of the things that I've done is placement agencies or other partners. You guys have introduced me to some people, some great talented people. The system integrator John He that I work with, he's been fantastic. And so you guys introduced me to him. You introduced me to my sales rep, but other people I've found on, online job boards, posting in groups, people that are looking, other people have an employee that they need to share or something like that. I found some folks like that. And so I've got a part-time person like that. And then other services, people run their own ads and talk about these services. So I've gotten on all sorts of sales calls with people to interview them for their service to see, and it's not always a fit. A lot of times it's not a fit. I don't really need what they're selling. And they're not as good at selling it. So I don't necessarily know if, and it's like that. It's they throw this whole hodgepodge of services at me. It's like, well, I really just need this thing, and maybe they're not the right, person to work with. So anyway, it's been kind of hard to do that, but you have to have a process and a defined, like an SOP for what you want the employee to do.
What if you don't know how to do the task? I wanted to ask, what if you don't know how to do the task that you're trying to hire for? Because a lot of people that would talk about that systems integration role, a lot of people struggle with that, which is such a key piece of the business for automation, right? Like everyone's so obsessed with ChatGPT because the barrier of entry to ChatGPT is zero. You ask a thing and it prompts you. Whatever you prompt it, it answers. There's no barrier of entry. The barrier of entry, no matter what High Level wants to say, and I love them very much, obviously, the barrier of entry into something like High Level or ActiveCampaign or any CRM, ClickUp, Asana, it could be decently high. And I think it stresses out a lot of people. And then they kind of do these very terrible operating systems of napkin math and, Slack, basically, they're not using anything. And so when they want to hire someone that's promising them the world, how do they end up finding out what's the right fit? How do you know how do you build the SOP if you don't know how to do it? What do you do, Eric?
Yeah, you almost have to test. Like with John, I've been working with him for over a year, and I said, hey, can you help me do this? And then, obviously we're on all these calls, once a week we were having a call, and he would show me how to do little things and that sort of stuff. And I was like, this guy knows everything about this stuff. And if he doesn't know it, he'll research it. And then the next week we'll talk about it. So I think that's that introduction was one of the most valuable for me, because it's helped me with so many of the back end systems so that it's so much quicker and I'm more automated. That's one of the next things I want to do with my business is automate my SEO, onboarding process.
Yeah, automation is huge. It makes such a difference.
Yeah, I love that you brought up, though, that. Go ahead.
You need to find somebody that you trust, that's already a step up, further ahead in the businesses that you're in, and then talk to that person about who they're using and see if it's a fit for you, or if there's another recommendation you have.
Love that.
Yeah, and I love you brought up you found them through your network, right? Whether that was us or someone else, because I would say a lot of POD's best hires have been through the same thing, right? A friend of the community, someone we knew who we met at a mastermind or something. And so I just speaks to the importance of actually getting actively involved in your community, because you'll find people who can really help you, especially if you're in a niche that's a little obscure and you don't fully understand, like law, whatever, medical. Having a partner in that space is super beneficial. So I'm curious, Eric, in that month where you jumped from like 60K to 100K, was that a matter of getting a lot more sales calls booked, selling in new clients? Was that a lot of selling back to current clients? They placed more orders? Tell us about what happened in that jump.
all of that really. That was the month. So in December, I redefined my offer to the market. I was offering live transfers, X number for this amount of money. And so I changed it to a more simplified offer that was pay per lead. And this specific niche of attorneys, that's what they're used to. And so that makes it easy for them. And then when you say, all right, I'm gonna pay, it's per lead, but I'm gonna do all these other services to kind of wrap around you so that all you have to do is answer the phone when we call. Right.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is call the lead when it comes in. Right. So if it's easy for them, then they'll say yes. And so we did that. And I think my biggest month ever was like 6 clients signed. And in January I did 12.
Woo! Let's go.
February I did 12. It's like, the revenue just keeps going up and up,
And Eric,
sure.
It's not going to stop. It's just not going to stop. We've been working together for 2 years now, which is incredible and super grateful for that. Obviously, you've come a long way in POD. If you were to express to someone the experience you've had in our community, in Prospecting on Demand, the mentorship, what would that experience be for you?
Well, I would say, and I learned this from another business owner locally in town, right? A guy I respect a lot. He owns an HVAC company. He said to me a couple years ago when I first met him, he was like, well, I have a coach. He's like, and you should have a coach too, if you can find one in in the digital marketing space. He's like, because I have a coach that used to own a really successful HVAC company, and now he's an HVAC company coach. But he helps them, because he knows the ins and outs of their business and what they're struggling with. And so that was one of the big things for me is I was looking for a coach already, and you guys happened to on my news feed, and I started seeing things, and I was like, well, I want to find out what this is all about. And then, you wouldn't let me off the call without saying yes, because you knew it was going to be a good fit, right? And so you said, I can help you, and you should do this. And so I was like, well, okay, how do I do it?
So great, man. It's just been awesome to watch your journey and see how much effort and work you put in. It's amazing, like getting to know you and meeting your wife and enjoying each other's companies at events. Like, this is what POD is about. I love that I can call you a friend sincerely. I'm grateful that you would give us your time on this session today to share this insight. And I'm proud, really sincerely proud to call you a POD Hall of Famer, man. Appreciate you a lot.
Fantastic.
Brian, what else did you want to get into? So I make sure that we cover all the bases.
Sure. I know a lot of people in this space, community, et cetera, bluntly get stuck under 20K, 25, 30K a month recurring revenue. What was it for you that you felt like you were able to actually move past that? What was stopping you? And then how did you get past that?
Well, one thing that
100, right? Whatever.
Yeah, one thing that was really important for me was hiring you guys, but then using you guys to help me identify where the problems were in my business, right? What problem areas do I have? What do I need to fix? Fixing those bottlenecks and those issues. I mean, one of the big things was hiring, talent, right? Getting a media buyer on board so that I could take more sales calls. Once I started taking more sales calls and I had so many calls, I couldn't manage it. It was like, well, I need to hire a sales rep to manage it. The next thing is, well, what do we need to do? We need to hire another sales rep or a appointment setter to keep that calendar full of appointments. It's the incremental, things that you need to do. Having you guys there to help me point those things. I know some of these things, but it was like, I need somebody to help me identify those bottlenecks, those problems, so that we can fix them. And then once you figure out what is working, right, with this current system I have that is working, you just double it. If you can sell 6, you can sell 12. You just need to double whatever the input is so that you can, if you schedule 20 sales calls, you just need to schedule 40 sales calls.
What was that? What was that for you in January and February that lined up so many sales calls to close 10 in each month?
12.
12, sorry.
Yeah. So what the difference is the amount of money we're spending on ads, but also the effort we're putting in on LinkedIn and cold email outreach, and the different ways that we get people booked onto our calendar. Right. I haven't implemented.
Yes. I love this. That's the best advice you've given. I mean, I've heard here. That's what people need to do. Don't just put all your eggs in one basket, guys. You've got to have multiple ways you're getting clients and book calls. Sorry,
Yeah.
rant over.
And ask the people that are having success, right? The people that have been with me. I've got an attorney that's been with me for over a year. Well, several of them, right, that have been working with me for a long time. And I tell them, well, if there's somebody in your network that needs my services, and so I get referrals from those guys now, right? And it's like, wow, okay, that's like a big compliment when they say that you should. And so I just had a call with a guy, Leo, out in California from a attorney that knows him in Maryland. It's like, whoa, okay, so we'll start working with Leo. But it's just
how and when do you ask? I'm doing rapid fire questions right now, but how and when are you asking for these referrals from your clients?
usually at the time of the renewal or the time of a retention call. And that's another one of those things that you have to work on is churn and retention, especially with this type of service. But we have these calls where I send them, hey, so far you've signed 6 clients. We're getting to the end of the cycle, or we're going to renew. Let's hop on a call. When we talk, I talk through that, and it's like, if it's working for you, it'll work for somebody else. Do you know of anybody else in your sphere that needs this type of service? And they, let me think about that. Or they might say, yeah, actually, Leo needs this. I just talked to him about this like a month ago and he needs it, so you should call him. Boom, that's how it works.
Love it, man. Yeah, you've been putting in the work for sure. I guess I have one more question, Alex, if that's cool, specifically around fulfillment. How do you make sure you're retaining clients and not hiding from them, right? Like, I can remember my early agency days when I was young and naive. Like, I wanted to just kind of like, if they don't talk to me, maybe I'm not fired this month, sort of thing. Like, how do you maintain relationships and retain clients for more than a year? Because most agencies churn out clients in 2, 3, 4 months sometimes. What's been the difference here for you?
Well, and we do, right? We have a problem with churn just like everybody else. So I'm not going to say that I'm just perfect at this, but at the end of the day, there's a process that we're following that, and it's a modified version of the POD red, yellow, green. But it comes down to, is the client having success? Why aren't they having success? Can I help them identify where their problem is and having that success, so that we can, provide what we need to provide for them. As long as they have an ROI from it and they can see that it's a positive ROI, then they'll continue to do it. It's really easy with my SEO clients because I can point back. I have this tracking number. You got 20 calls. You've got 6 deals from that, right? Because you recognize Sally and Bobby and all those names. Oh yeah, well, and your average ticket's $500, and so you've gotten 6 of those times, so that's $3,000. And I only charge you $500 for this service. Once you do the math and break all that down, it's a no-brainer. It's easy, right? They just keep doing it with you. With the PI guys, it's a bigger nut, but they also get more for each client, right? So it's the same thing. If you sign 6 and they're all worth 10, that's 60 grand. You only paid X dollars for that $60,000 in potential revenue to your law firm. Why wouldn't you keep putting that in, right? Even if it's just 1 to 2, right? But it's Eric, an X ROI. It's a no-brainer.
That concept of the ATM machine is something I try to explain to everyone, like particularly in sales and retention. Whereas if you frame, like, people talk about anchoring pricing, right? So it'll be like, oh, I'm going to make an offer for a 5K price, but then make them the second offer will be 2,000, and then they're going to buy it, which is just ridiculously crappy salesmanship. But in general, the idea of price anchoring is really valuable, but it's so much more valuable in ROI anchoring. And the ROI anchoring of framing to someone like, hey, Eric, if I gave you an ATM machine where you put $1 in and $10 came back out of the ATM machine, how much money would you put into that machine, Eric?
Unlimited.
Oh, hey, yeah, totally makes sense. Let me ask you though, also, what if, just by chance, that same ATM machine, it only gave you $2 back though? How much money would you put in?
Unlimited. I mean,
oh, wow. Oh, that's crazy. Wow. Unbelievable. Yeah. So here's the thing, right? What we're going to try to do, we are going to try to get you to the 10, right? But even if we only do even 120, right? Even if you only get $1.20 back every single time, right? You got to keep doing it. Now, our goal is not to celebrate when we get to $150, $2. We're celebrating that $10 or $15 or $20 back. Some of our clients are able to do that. We're going to do that for you. And you can use the same exact tool in retention. It's crazy how, like, people, because of emotions, like, instead of a pragmatic view on data and the agency's failure to express through pragmatic data and a bridging of the gap of not understanding this ATM metaphor, so many people, especially clients particularly, will throw away an agency that's actually making them money out of fear of the output, like of how much money they have to put out and the risk that it's just going to like magically fall apart. It's like, guys, this is crazy. You're making money. And so, Eric, it's such a key piece to remind people, and I'm glad that you did. Brian, do you have something else? Just make sure.
Yeah, I think the lesson from that too is so important, right? Is just taking ownership of the outcome, even though Eric's not responsible for signing the cases, helping his clients understand if they are and if they're making money. And again, I was, being sarcastic a little bit to exaggerate the point of when I was hiding from my clients, but in a real example, are you guys just sending leads and then like hoping they close and not really asking or finding out what's going on? And like but I sent you the leads, right? Like it's not going to be good enough. You guys have to be a partner in that and really support on it. So, and I've been there, so don't feel bad if you're in that spot. Like you can own this. And I think doing that call once a month, reviewing the data with them, helping them see it, that's a really good first start.
Yeah,
cool.
That's definitely valuable. That's one of the things that I've had a couple clients tell me this is like, one, you're good at what you're doing and we're getting an ROI, but you're so accessible. Like you allow us to text you, to call you, even if I don't answer the phone. I mean, I'll text them back. I'll set up an appointment where we can actually have a conversation. But it's the accessibility, right? Not just the founder, but of our teammates and the other people, right? Because they can message us through our email, and it's like anybody can see that email, and so now they get a response back from somebody.
One of the great lines in sports is the best ability is availability, right? And I love that framework in business too, right? Like being available. So our model in POD, Eric, I think I've shared this with you before, but I think it's valuable to share because everyone can implement this model. It doesn't have to just be in a coaching business. It can be in a marketing agency. It could be at a local t-shirt shop. It could be anywhere. And it's just CHAMP, caring, helpful, available, motivating, proactive. That's what we're about. That's our model. That's what we try to do. We try to create a caring environment, a helpful environment, an available environment, motivating environment, and being proactive environment. Not that hard. These are good 5 core tenets and values that people really feel that really make a difference for them and make them feel a very special experience. And Eric, you're implementing that so well for your agency, and that's why you're reaping the rewards. And that's why we're so happy for you about, couldn't happen to a better person, to someone that's putting in the effort with the right intentions consistently. It's pretty awesome and super inspiring, and I'm very appreciative of that. Eric, before we wrap out of here, is there any final words or insights that you want to share with anyone kind of in the struggle right now, feeling like, man, I'm coming to this show, I'm listening to this show because I'm trying to figure out how to get out of it and I can't see my way out and it's scary. What do I do?
What do you do? Well, again, you go back to what is it that is working? Do more of that. What is it that's broken? Find out how to fix that. Hire a coach. Get involved in a community like this, a culture like this. That one of the cool things I like about you guys is you don't let people that are jerks into this group. So pretty much everybody you meet in the group is going to be a cool person, that has integrity and that, is well, especially those that, because there are other people in this group that provide services that I need, right? And I can count on those people to do it at a high output and have high integrity when they do it. And so it might not be the cheapest service I can find, but it will be good because you're not going to let just anybody in here. So that's another cheap.
We legitimately have. I appreciate that. We legitimately have a no asshole policy built into our setter SOP. That's literally the first qualification. Are they a jerk or not? Okay, cool. Now we can continue.
Yeah, go. They are. No, it actually says, are they an asshole? Yes or no? Yeah. It says yes. It's like, do they have money? Yes. Don't let them pay. That's what it says. Don't join, please. So yeah, that's our end of our Anti-Hustler Weekly show. Please don't join POD if you're an asshole. But if you're a good person that wants help and coaching and be a part of a good community, like people like Eric, feel free to reach out to us. We're more than happy to help you. Just no assholes allowed. And with that, have a great week. Hope you all had fun watching the Anti-Hustler Weekly show. Eric, thank you so much, man, for joining us. I really appreciate you. Brian, thank you always so much for helping me steer this ship. Everyone that came with us, thank you so much for being here. Join us every single Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern. We have a great show for you every single week right here on Zoom and in our Facebook group. And we will see you, on the next one.
See ya. Thanks, Eric.